Forget the myth that there are only 7 plots, because here's the truth. Originality isn't restricted by a finite set of storylines. It's about how creative you can be by wielding those plots in a groundbreaking way. Today, I'm going to reveal 2 game-changing realities in storytelling. First, let's debunk the originality myth. With storytelling, originality doesn't stem from random new ideas. It emerges when you grasp the essence of plots and infuse them with your unique touch. I'm going to share with you the techniques to dissect these plots, allowing you to explore various structures to elevate your narrative. As you practice and refine your skills, your original concepts will have a better chance of flourishing while sidestepping narrative pitfalls. These insights are your key to enhancing your story's quality, ensuring your audience is captivated and never lost, confused, or bored by your narrative execution. Let's demystify the essence of a plot. Simply put, a plot is a series of inevitable events. Don't confuse inevitable with predictable. It's not about foreseeing the future. It's about crafting a story where every character choice is authentic, weaving a narrative that keeps the audience on the edge of their seats. Picture this, a first-time audience diving into a story and unraveling its mysteries ahead of time. Boring, right? Audiences don't want to be 5, 10, 20, or 30 minutes ahead of the plot. Here is the hard fact. It's not the formula that's boring the audience, it's your writing. First-time writers often make this mistake of thinking that breaking away from the formula is the key. It's not. What matters is how well you execute it. In the realm of writing, impressing your audience, publisher, or studio isn't about reinventing the wheel, it's about mastering characters and plots. Showcasing an expert understanding of storytelling allows you to cloak certain story beats and plot points, leaving your audience blissfully unaware of the formula you're following and completely engrossed in your tale. The next harsh reality of storytelling is the fairly recent myth of there only being 7 basic plots. In Christopher Booker's work, The 7 Basic Plots, he introduces us to these fundamental story structures: overcoming the monster, rags to riches, the quest, rebirth, voyage and return, comedy, and tragedy. However, let's take a closer look. Pause for a moment, if you will, and consider, can you spot an inconsistency? If you guess that comedy and tragedy seem out of place, pat yourself on the back. Because frankly, comedy and tragedy aren't plots themselves, they're genres. They are storytelling lenses. They shape how a story is told, acting as a backdrop for the interplay between character and plot. Think about it this way. When asked for a quest plot, you can easily recall stories specific to that category. Yet, if prompted for a comedy or tragedy, you might find overlaps with other plots, like Overcoming the Monster or Rags to Riches. Why? Because akin to action, mystery, romance, horror, science fiction, and fantasy, comedy and tragedy are genres, not standalone plots. No disrespect to Christopher Booker, but I have to set the record straight. In the world of plots, simplicity rules. There are 5 foundational plot points that serve as the backbone of countless stories, allowing for endless creativity and genre blending. Here are some brief examples. Number 1, the quest. It's pretty straightforward. The main character goes on a journey or adventure. Examples are Raiders of the Lost Ark. Indiana Jones is tasked with discovering the Lost Ark of the Covenant before it falls into the evil hands of a genocidal dictator. Treasure Island. Jim Hawkins embarks on a voyage with Long John Silver in search of buried treasure. Number 2, Overcoming the Monster. The main character must face an internal or external monster. Sometimes they can face both. Examples are Jaws. Chief Brody must overcome his fear of the water in order to slay a shark that is terrorizing the public beach. John Carpenter's The Thing. A shape-shifting alien has infiltrated a remote Antarctic research facility, replacing the staff and causing mistrust, fear, and paranoia among the crew as they are killed off one by one. Number 3, Rags to Riches. A person goes on a journey that takes them from a lower class and difficult life to an upper class and better life. Examples are Pretty Woman. A captivating prostitute enters into a professional arrangement with a morally compromised businessman only to make an emotional connection, fall in love, and help each other have a more rewarding life together. Kingsman: The Secret Service. A petty, low-class crook is recruited by a private Secret Service agency and is trained to become a true gentleman spy tasked with saving the world. Number 4, Rebirth. Similar to Rags to Riches, but is more of an internal transformation and not always for the better. Examples are The Godfather. A war veteran and the youngest son of a mob boss must lead his family after a failed assassination attempt on his father, only to turn into the very thing he and his father tried to avoid. A Christmas Carol. On Christmas Eve, a greedy, cynical old man is visited by the ghost of his old business partner, warning him that if he doesn't change his ways after being visited by 3 more ghosts, his soul will be eternally damned. Number 5. The Voyage and Return. External circumstances displace a character, and they embark on a journey to return home. Some examples are The Wizard of Oz. After running away from home, a farm girl is whisked away by a tornado and lands in a magical world where she embarks on a journey with new friends to return home to a family she desperately misses. Back to the Future. After traveling back in time, a young boy accidentally interrupts his parents' meeting and must find a way to get them to fall in love, otherwise he'd be erased from time and unable to return home. The journey to master these quintessential plots demands more than just a casual stroll. Just like the process of writing, it requires unwavering dedication and discipline. The essence is straightforward, yet its execution demands a commitment of time and effort. While I could provide a direct list of the core plots, doing so will rob you of your own interpretation of these plot points. Because in this case, you can be told how to learn the answers, but you can't learn the answers by being told. It would be a quick and easy map for you to follow, but it would be lacking the understanding as to why you are following it. And if you're following a map you don't fully understand, it is going to negatively impact your writing. Many new writers take a look at Joseph Campbell's monomyth and seek out those stages in the stories they love as affirmation. But how often do they understand what these stages mean to the overall story? When all you're doing is looking at the answers to these questions and following them, are you learning anything about why the question is important? Approaching this from that perspective is robbing you of the value of why each of those stages are necessary. Why is it important for the hero to refuse the call? What is the framework around that moment to make that decision authentic to the characters? The knowledge in this context transcends mere instruction. It requires an active engagement to see beyond the surface and uncover the narrative elements and their value. Think of it as the discipline of storytelling archaeology, a process of unearthing hidden treasures beneath layers of narrative soil. This goes beyond imitation, encouraging emerging writers to imbue these plots with their genuine voice rather than duplicating the creation of others. The approach taken by seasoned writers to master storytelling isn't a guarded secret, but a methodical journey, and I'm going to get you started. First, gather a bunch of stories you feel align with the plots you're looking to master. Break down each story scene by scene, taking note of the events as they happen. Once you have that recorded, it's time to look beyond the surface and find the real heart of each plot point. If you can learn how others have hidden those plot points, then you can develop your own new methods for your own stories. Let's take a look at Star Wars. This falls under the quest plot. Now, some of the obvious plot points are Princess Leia is captured, droids escape to Tatooine, droids are captured by Jawas, droids are sold to Uncle Owen, introduction of Luke, Luke frees R2, Luke chases after R2, is attacked by Sand People, and is rescued by Obi-Wan. But these aren't the plot points you're looking for. What you are looking for is something much deeper and, oddly enough, more generalized. I still recommend jotting down all the specific plot points initially before delving further. This way, you'll have a distinct reference to consult as you explore the storyline in more detail, and you'll have a better means to identify strong but subtle setups and payoffs. For instance, let's take a look at the scene at the dinner table. Luke brings up the droids as a means to tell his uncle he wants to join the academy. His uncle tells Luke that despite the droids, he's still needed at the farm and he's not leaving anytime soon. This demonstrates conflict between the two characters and is a significant plot point. The plot points are that the hero wants to leave home and the parent or guardian convinces the hero to stay. Finding the plot point that is beyond the specifics of the story is getting to the core of the actual plot. Another example using Star Wars is the scene between Obi-Wan and Luke at his home. Obi-Wan uses Leia's message and tales of Luke's father to encourage him to learn the Force and help him on this adventure. Luke wants to go, but he is anchored by his responsibilities which were reinforced in an earlier plot point. This falls into the broader part of plotting that you find in the hero's journey known as the refusal of the call. But it is reinforced by a smaller plot point that we saw at the dinner table. The refusal of the call doesn't happen on a whim. It happens because an earlier plot point has set it up organically. We learn that Luke wants to leave and why, and we learn that Owen wants him to stay and why. Each of their reasons is authentic and relatable, and sets up conflict to be explored further without distracting the audience of this being an obvious plot point. Finally, we have the climactic scene at the end, where Luke is doing the trench run. He has experienced everyone else using the targeting computer to destroy the Death Star and fail. He hears from beyond Obi-Wan telling Luke to embrace what he has learned and to use the Force instead. Luke turns off the targeting computer, and with the power of the Force, controls the torpedoes to enter the exhaust port one at a time instead of together, allowing him to complete his mission and save the rebellion. What is the plot point? The hero believes in themselves and what they have learned in order to succeed. When you collect them together, you have the following. The hero wants to leave home, and the parent or guardian convinces the hero to stay. The mentor asks the hero to join him on an adventure, but the hero refuses. The hero believes in themselves and what they have learned and achieves their goal. Clearly, this is not a complete outline for the quest plot. There are a lot of other core plot points between all of these that you will have to discover yourself. But you can recognize these 3 points in the monomyth. But more importantly, now you have context around those points that are not established in the monomyth itself. Jumping into the world of storytelling mastery is no easy task, but like with all hard work, it comes with a great deal of rewards. My advice in approaching this technique is as follows. Start by checking out 10 different stories for each plot, making sure you mix up the genres. This not only speeds up your understanding of core plot points, but also shows you the ropes of how they can be used differently. Take your time breaking down each story into its core beats. Look for the similarities across them to figure out the common core plot points. As you scrutinize these plot points, ask yourself some key questions, such as, how does this affect the stakes of the story? How does it further the character? How does it relate to the character's wants and goals? This becomes your toolkit for your own storytelling adventures. Take your time to understand how these points lay the groundwork for the core plot, and use this knowledge to cook up your unique narrative. Once you've got a handle on these core plot points, you're in the driver's seat. Your understanding of the points will open up opportunities for you to create new setups that suit your method of storytelling. When you know the ins and outs of these types of plots, you can slyly hide them from your audience, keeping them hooked. Do this drill for all 5 plots, or pick the ones that get you excited. This exercise not only helps you hide plot points in cool scenes, but also sparks ideas on blending different plots seamlessly. As you gain a stronger understanding of these plot points, knowing them forwards and backwards, you will see opportunities that are otherwise hidden from average writers. Each of these plots can spice things up with the 4 basic conflicts: man versus man, man versus self, man versus machine, and man versus nature. By building an expert level of understanding these plots, applying the same approach with genre, conflicts, and characters, you have a great deal of variables to play with to give your stories a more personal and original touch. While there may only be 5 basic plots to story, the more you understand them, the more fun you can have hiding them from your audience. This will help you elevate your writing, and ideally help you stand out amongst the competition. So remember, when someone makes a claim that there are no original plots, you can simply point out that they have no imagination nor inclination to even try. Like I say, when it comes to great story, it all starts with the script.